Adventure Land in Lenox, Alabama, where God gets the glory for his creation. We're on all kinds of channels. You can get them all on Dr.Dino.com. The Genesis Baptist Church is our church. I'm sitting in the building right now. And we have a new channel, Dr. Kent, the Science Gent, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see, in March, I forgot to move the blue square. Move that over. It's 11th, okay? We're into old-fashioned, independent, temperamental, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist church where God gets the glory for his creation. We believe the Bible is inspired and inerrant, perfect in every detail. We're straight north of Pensacola, 70 miles, little town of Lenox, and we think evolution is dumb. Okay, come visit. It's free. So help us stay open for free. Join our 777 Club if you like what we're doing around here. Call my wife, Sandra, if you got any questions about the finances. Sandra, 855 BIG-DINO, extension 1. She handles the secretarial stuff and the bookkeeping. And go to drdino.com. I got to change that. 7.9 years now, almost 8. April 14th is our anniversary of being open. Oh, about over 25,000 visitors, all 50 states. And you folks from, where do you consider yourself from? Oksana, Russia, or is Israel, or where are you from? Not Israel. Israel, okay, good to have you here. We do this because people love the Lord and want to support us. Okay, I want to go to slide number, go here, 1951. There. Matthew Henry's commentary takes John chapter 13. He did a great commentary back in the late 1600s on the entire Bible. It's probably this much if you typed it all out. It's a big, huge book. But I really encourage you to look at that. If you don't know what a passage means, there are hundreds of commentaries. People have already studied it and made their comments. Some are probably not right, but if you read through 10 or 15 of them, you get the general gist. Matthew Henry commentary, the section we're going to be in tonight is Jesus washing his disciples' feet, found in John 13, 1 through 17. Now, it's interesting. We talked about how John chapter 12 is the only one to mention the judgment of unbelief, and Matthew, Mark, and Luke don't mention it. But then when you get to the last Passover, the conspiracy of the Jews and Judas Iscariot, that's not mentioned in John. So to get the whole story of Jesus' life, you got to put kind of all four Gospels together, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and kind of blend them together. Then we have what's called the Paschal, the Last Supper. Now, all four of them mention that, okay? So in Matthew 26 talks about the plot to kill Jesus. Mark 14 talks about the plot to kill Jesus. Luke talks about it. There they are, right here. 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified. Jesus knew it was coming. It was called Caiaphas. They had the secret meeting in Caiaphas's place trying to get Jesus in trouble. So those three books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, all mention these things. John doesn't. When we get to what's called the Last Supper, Paschal, what's that? Paschal, Jewish for what? Paschal Supper, that means P-A-S-C-H-A-L. Paschal. Pesa? Last Supper, okay. Oh, Passover, okay. Mention in all of them. Here we are, John chapter 13. Now, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour was come, and he should depart out of this world unto the Father, he knew, this is it. Having loved his own, which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. We can say a lot about that. Okay. And the supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. You know, the devil can put things into your heart. He can make you think the wrong thing. I can't believe all the bad rumors going around about us and me. And the devil can make people believe that, put that into their heart, into their mind. So Judas, several times Simon is mentioned. It says Judas Iscariot, Simon's son. The only thing Simon is famous for in the Bible, there's several Simons, but this Simon is having a son who was a traitor. Sad, sad, sad. Which should betray him. Okay. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands and that he was come from God and went to God, he knew what was coming. He came down to do this. Now he knew he's going to be crucified, rise. He knew it all, okay? He riseth from supper and laid aside his garments and took a towel and girded himself. Jesus' disciples had sacrificed a lot to follow him for a couple of years, but they had one major problem to overcome. They had pride about which of them would be the greatest in the kingdom. So they thought they're following him, and some of them actually thought after he was crucified and rose, he was going to set up the kingdom right then. So they asked him when he rose from the dead, Acts chapter 1, Lord, are you going to set up your kingdom now? He said, it's not for you to know the time. And they sent it up to heaven. We've been waiting 2,000 years now. Hasn't happened yet. But some of those disciples thought, oh, it's coming right now, and they want to be the greatest. Let's see, in Mark chapter 9. By the way, they had disputed among themselves who should be the greatest. Luke 9. There was reasoning among them which of them should be greatest. Oh, okay. Luke 22. There was strife among them about which of them should be the greatest. Everybody wants to be the greatest at something, okay? The world's best at whatever. How do you be the greatest? Well, let's see. John 13. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simon Peter, and Peter saith unto him, Lord, dost thou wash my feet? So here's Jesus, the King of the universe, God in the flesh, washing his disciples' feet. He comes to Peter. Peter said, you're not going to wash my feet. Jesus answered and said, what I do thou knowest not now, but thou shalt know hereafter. Peter, you don't understand, but you're going to know later. Peter saith unto him, thou shalt never wash my feet. Jesus answered, if I wash thee not, thou hast no part with me. Simon Peter said, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Oh, Lord, if that's it, well, here, give me a bath. Jesus said, no, he that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet. There's a great lesson here. They're cleansed. But your daily walk through this world, your feet get dirty. You're still going to say, that's what's got to be cleansed. Every day, at the end of the day, Lord, forgive me, I blew it on this and this. It's your day. You don't have to take a whole bath. You're already clean. But your feet have to be washed because you pick up the dirt of this world as you go along. But it's clean every whit, and you're clean, but not all. For he knew who should betray him. He said, you are clean, but not all. Not all of you. He knew one of his disciples, Judas, was going to betray him. Okay? Therefore he said, ye are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet and had taken his garments and was set down again, he said unto them, know ye what I've done to you? Do you understand what I just did, guys? Here's God in the flesh. They knew this guy. He could do miracles, walk on water, raise the dead. He's going around washing all their feet. He said, you know what I've done? You call me Master and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. You're right. I'm Master, I'm Lord. You got it right. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet. This is the only story that mentions the foot washing. It's important to read all four Gospels to get the whole story. This Passover supper is mentioned in all four Gospels, but not the foot washing. He said, I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. You guys have been following me, Jesus said. Now, I just washed your feet. I've given you an example. You want to be the greatest? Humble yourself. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of God. You know what King David was famous for? Being a servant. He's the king. He wrote half the book of Psalms. He called himself a servant. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you, flee to another city. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. You really want to be a servant of, you want to be the greatest? You learn to be a servant of the Lord. It's that simple. If the world hates you, you know it hated me before it hated you. In verse 20. Remember the word that I said unto you, if the servant is not greater than his Lord. This is John 15. We're in John 13 tonight. So a couple of chapters later, he's going to remind them, hey, disciples, remember, the servant's not greater than his Lord. Remember when I told you that? If they persecuted me, they'll persecute you. If they've kept my saying, they will keep yours also. Paul called himself a servant of God. Okay. He said in Romans chapter 12, I say through the grace given unto me, every man among you not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think. Some people think they're the greatest. My sweat don't stink. You know, I'm the greatest. Cassius Clay. Later changed his name to Muhammad Ali. Okay, Cassius Clay. I'm the greatest. And he was a great boxer, no question about that. Muhammad Ali died at age 74 due to septic shock of unspecified natural causes, according to family spokesman Bob Gunnell. Ali had been suffering from respiratory illness, complication of Parkinson's disease. His disease from his late 30s until his death in 74 was chronic and progressive, manifesting fatigue, all these other problems he had. That's Muhammad Ali before he died. Last picture. He was the greatest. Not anymore. You want to be the greatest forever? The daredevil life of the man who's broken more than 600 Guinness World Records. Wow, he's the greatest. How about this guy? The top 10 best bodybuilder physiques. Yep, there's me. Well, okay. The richest man in the world. The top 10 richest person in the world. Whoa, that's a lot of money. Christopher Langdon is America's horse rancher and autodidact who has been reported to have scored very highly on IQ tests. His IQ was estimated by ABC to be between 195 and 210. 100 is average, okay? Pretty smart fella, okay? How about Stephen Hawking? IQ between 160 and 170. Smart fella. Everybody thought he was the smartest man, and he might have been. The world's best, there's a whole program about that, the world's best, the 27 best pianists of all times, okay? 30 best NBA players of all times. Who wants to be the world's greatest? Who is the greatest? Luke 22, there was a strife among them. Which of them should be the greatest? Jesus said, you want to be the greatest? You be a servant. Luke 14, whoso exalteth himself shall be abased. He that humbleth himself shall be exalted. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. You want to be the greatest? Be a servant. There is that maketh himself rich, yet hath nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet hath great riches. Some people try so hard to get rich and get money and get big car, fancy house, fancy clothes. You really want to be the greatest forever, not just for a short time, forever. It's funny to me, I just came from Walmart to get a couple things for the wife for the store here, and they have, some people, they drive this, junky old car, barely runs, and they got all kinds of, but boy, they got a big fancy ring on, they're proud, they got to be proud of something. Or they have a trashy car with huge, $1,000 rims on it. Like, hello, is that what makes you think you're great? Your rims on your car? Okay. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil. Eschewed is an old English word. He hated evil. There were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen. Anyway, he was the greatest of all the men of the East. This guy was rich, richest guy in the East, wherever that was, wherever Job lived, okay? And then he lost everything. Read Job chapter 1 and chapter 2. He lost everything. All of his sheep and cows were stolen. His 10 kids all died. A tornado or something came by, hit the house where they were having a party, and killed them all, same time. His wife said to him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. He said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. This is a great man. He went from being the richest man there was to nothing. Lost his 10 kids. And his wife said, why don't you curse God? His own wife turned against him. He said, we can receive good at the hand of God. Can't we receive evil? Job 13. Job finally, his 4 friends came to visit him, and they accused him of all kinds of things. He said, hold your peace. Let me alone, that I may speak. He said, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him, but I will maintain mine own ways before him. This guy, Job, is really a great man. After he lost it all, he still said, God, if you want to kill me, okay, I'm going to serve you. I'm going to keep serving you. 1 Corinthians, let a man so account of us as the ministers of Christ, the stewards of the mysteries of God. It is required of stewards that a man be found faithful. You want to be the greatest? Be faithful to what God calls you to do. It might be a lowly task. Doesn't matter. God looks down and says, look, you've got the job of sweeping the carpet or vacuuming the carpet in the church. Okay? You do a good job. You're faithful. Faithful. I know nothing by myself. He that judged me is the Lord, okay? Therefore, judge nothing before the time. Don't you go around deciding who's the greatest, okay? Until the Lord come, who both will bring to light the hidden things of darkness and will make manifest the counsels of the hearts. And then shall every man have praise of God. When we get to the judgment day, we're going to find out. God's going to say, he's going to call up some people you never heard of. Say, this is the greatest right here. What? And God's got he keeps careful records. Not only what you do, but why do you do it? Do you do it to be seen of men? Well, that lowers you down a couple notches. Who's the greatest of all time? God says the servant who is faithful at the job God calls him to is the greatest. Who's the greatest of all time? Well, maybe it's going to be some mother we never heard of who was faithful to her husband and faithful to raise her children to serve the Lord. That's her job, raise them kids. Mom's getting tired of all the stuff goes along with raising kids. Hey, just be faithful. God wants you to be faithful at your job. Who's the greatest? Maybe it's some church janitor we never heard of who was faithful to keep the church clean and take the load off the pastor. Pastor never has to worry. He knows he can walk in, it's going to be clean, ready to go. Takes the load off. Who's the greatest? Maybe it's some person we never heard of who's bedbound, but they write books and stories to help children learn the Bible. Never heard of them. Who's the greatest of all time? I don't know. Maybe it's a person confined to a wheelchair we never heard of who prays for ministries to win souls. We got a bunch of folks praying for us. Much more important than what I do. Thank you. Okay? Who's the greatest? Johnny Erickson Tada, American evangelical Christian author, radio host, artist, and founder of Johnny and Friends, organization that accelerates Christian ministry to the disabled community. She was born October 1949. She broke her neck diving into Chesapeake Bay at the age of 17 and has been paralyzed ever since. She's endured 51 years of quadriplegic, chronic pain, previous battle against stage 3 breast cancer 8 years ago. Tada received a cancer diagnosis for the second time in 2018. She's an award-winning artist and a speaker and an author of more than 50 books. Broke her neck, paralyzed, neck down. She draws pictures with a paintbrush in her mouth. She might be one of the greatest. But she keeps serving the Lord. She could just sit in the wheelchair and collect disability and, oh, well, poor me. Some people do that. They love the excuse to not work, don't they? Okay? Who's the greatest of all time? Maybe it's some church secretary we never heard of. When she answers the phone, even when she's not feeling well. Secretaries have to sound good all the time. Hello, Genesis Baptist Church, may I help you? Even when their, leg just fell off and they're bleeding to death or something. Who's the greatest of all time? Maybe it's one we never heard of, who's faithful and cheerful when they wash the camp dishes or prepare the food we serve so we can reach people for the Lord. Who's the greatest? Maybe it'll be one we never heard of, who's faithful and cheerful to keep the dining hall clean, stocked for the nearly 3,000 meals we serve for free every month. 3,000 meals a month. You try that. Takes a nice dining hall, big kitchen. Who's the greatest? 3,000 meals every month. Who's the greatest? Maybe it's one we never heard of, who's faithful and cheerful when they wash the floor, so family or visitors feel safe and can listen to the gospel. Who's the greatest? Maybe it's one of our camp helpers like Big Will, who's in the hospital now, or Matthew, who spent hours on the tractor smoothing the roads, or moving dirt, or building projects so we can win souls. I don't know. Who's the greatest? Maybe it's one of the camp helpers who takes care of all of our animals so we can give tours. People love to see the peacocks. Did you know peacocks don't lay eggs? Did you know that? Peacocks don't lay eggs. The peahen lays them. The peacock is the male. Never mind. Okay. Who's the greatest? Maybe it'll be Jeff, who spends hours keeping our tools and hardware organized to make all our jobs run smooth. I used to say, the only reason we go to the hardware store for anything is because they know where theirs is. We've got one, but we can't find it. So we have to go to the hardware store to buy theirs, okay? He does an amazing job keeping all the tools lined up, keeping them organized. Thank you, Jeff. And he's got a walker. You know how long has he had that walker been semi-paralyzed? Anybody know? Well, how long has he been with health problems? Years and years. Maybe Jeff will get the prize for being the greatest, organizing our hardware, keeping all the tools. Can you imagine? He organized all the nuts, bolts, and screws. If I want to find a quarter 20 bolt, I can walk in and find it. Wow, okay? Who's the greatest? I don't know. Maybe it'll be the ones like Debbie who Judy, who organized all our paint. You paint everything. I don't know. Judy, thank you for what you do, okay? Who's the greatest? Speaking of painting, we need a good artist to improve the front gate. There's the front gate that nobody ever finds. They come the other gate by my house, okay? Dinosaur Adventure Land gate. Who's the greatest? Well, we need a good artist to improve the gate, okay? I said, honey, would you go stand next to that picture that's supposed to be you and pose? Is anybody a good artist can make it look a little more, come help us out, please. She did not have yellow hair. Okay. Who's the greatest? Maybe it's Brother Meister, who at age 22, with a wife who's been sick with dementia for 10 years, preaches here once in a while, every week. Still preaches, fixes things around the camp. Maybe one of the hundreds of volunteers like Josh who come to help. He just took a bus out today to go back to Casper, Wyoming. Help for, what did he stay here, for a couple of months? Great helper, great worker. Brother Meister, fixing our swings, porch swings, okay? Cutting the boards, replacing them with treated lumber. Who's the greatest? Hey, Judy, maybe you're going to get it for splitting all the wood so we can heat our buildings for tours. Did a good job. Got a whole lot of wood saved up. We could be ready to heat the whole place. It's all for all my life. Who's the greatest? Maybe it'll be Billy or Titus or Judy or Pastor Meister or Stephen or Joseph or Bobby or Tiffany or Rex or Isaiah or Anthony or April, Lydia, Abby, Emma or Jeff or Lee. Maybe it's someone who works a boring job so they can support us financially. Some of you have to go 9 to 5, work your job. You do it only, maybe you make good money. And you say, I'm going to support that ministry. Maybe you're going to be the greatest. I don't know. God's going to sort them out. Psalms 50 says he's going to gather my saints together unto me, and God's going to be the judge. Hear, all my people, I will speak. O Israel, I will testify. I am God, even thy God. Whoa. Psalm 50 is an amazing chapter, by the way. But God is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. Arise, O God, judge of the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. I said in my heart, God shall judge. See, God's deciding who's the greatest. Some of you may think you're the greatest at something now, and it's all going to fade. Because you're doing it for the wrong reason. In the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ, according to my gospel. I charge thee, therefore, before God and the Lord Jesus Christ, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom, preach the word. Be instant, in season, out of season. I think that means you keep doing your job, whether you feel like it or not. In season, out of season. Oksana, have you guys ever had to go someplace to sing and you just didn't feel like singing, you didn't feel good, you're sick, you got a headache or something's wrong? Yeah, okay. Be instant, in season, out of season. Just keep going. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Jesus said, I've given you an example, that ye should do as I've done. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. Neither he that sent greater than he that sent him. Hey, you want to be the greatest? Wash somebody's feet. It's real simple. Okay, we'll take up with verse number 17 and when we get back, probably tomorrow night. Okay, questions or comments, brother? Let's see. How big's Will? He's just under 7 feet tall.
How is he?
Oh, how's Will? How's big Will? Not how big is Will. Okay. I got the zzz on the wrong spot. Okay. I went to see him today at the hospital. I got him drugged up a little bit. He has water around his heart. He's had heart problems before. He has had heart surgery and had a pacemaker put in. Keep praying for him, okay? If you want to contact, you can call. Would that drive him crazy if I gave out his phone number? Call the office and they'll give it. I don't have it here. You got it there? His almost 251-362. I know that part. I just hit the button that says Big Whale. Got a big button. Wait a minute. 251-363. 4649. Just text him. Hey, Will, we're praying for you. He'll love it. Okay. Okay. Ken, do you think Adam and Eve would have sinned if Satan never existed? I don't think God wanted to create robots. Okay. I don't think a man wants a woman that says, I love you, I love you, I love you, robot. No, 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 okay? God wanted them, you got to have a choice. If there's no choice, then you can't, it's not voluntary, I guess. So there's probably a reason why, we'll see in heaven why God did all that, but I think Adam and Eve, I think they were in the garden for 100 years, just my wild guess, okay? Satan fell from heaven first. I think really what we're seeing this last 7,000 years is a great big battle between God and Satan. Satan wanted to be God. So he came down and lied to Eve and said, you can be like God. And that's what evolution is all about. It's the same lie all over again. We started off like an amoeba and we're getting bigger, better, stronger, smarter. Someday we're going to get to be God and sail around the universe and discover new life forms like Star Trek. Ooh. It's the same lie. Same lie from Satan. So I can't answer that question. Okay, Jada. I have a great question for Kent. Can't find the verse where Jesus said children will be cast out from the kingdom to gloomy darkness. What did he mean by that? I think he's talking about the children of Israel that were not listening. They were told, that God told them and they didn't listen, okay? They're the children. Oftentimes they're referred to as the children in the Bible like that. Okay, Wilson, you still have the petrified pickle? I do. Come on down and see it. Petrified pickle. Okay. That's it? Okay. I've heard about the third temple scheduled to be built November 25. I've not heard that. Anything you have on that, please send it to me, okay? You can send it to our tech support at drdino.com. Joseph will get it to me. Tech support, T-E-C-H, support at Dr.Dino, okay? I can't keep up with email and I'm lucky to keep up just with my phone, okay? He will send it to my phone and I'll get it. I'm lucky to keep up with that. Okay, let's see, what else? I'll never forget this man teaching me how to flick a rubber band. It was awesome. I probably am the greatest rubber band shooter. I don't want to be the greatest, but let's see. I remember a preacher, I was preaching in Orlando, Florida. I still remember the preacher was 6'8". His wife was 6'4". Their daughter, as 12 or 13 or somewhere, was already 6'4", bigger than me. He said, Brother Hovind, I was going to preach at his church that night. I think it was in Orlando. He said, you know how to shoot a rubber band? I said, yeah. I went about 30 feet. He said, oh, no, here's how you shoot a rubber band. His went like 80 feet. I said, what? What'd you do? He said, there's a scientific way to shoot a rubber band. He taught me how. And we teach the people who come visit here how to do it. So if you want to learn, you got to come visit, okay? I had a group of kids here a couple days ago. A school group came. I was showing them. Before I showed them, mine went like 80 feet when I shot it. I said, now right now your kids are thinking of a question that's got 5 words in it. How did you do that? Now before I explain how to do it, I need to explain something else. I said, some kids should not learn how to do this because they will become a menace to society. And I grabbed one of the 10, 11-year-old boys, held his head. I said, that's you, isn't it? Teacher said, yeah, that's him. He's the one. You want to learn to shoot a rubber band the scientific way? My record's 92 feet. Yeah. File folder, rubber bands, Office Depot, aisle 12. Come on down. Okay. Thank you. How many people have been baptized at DAL now? I don't know exactly. Somewhere around almost 270, somewhere in there. Okay. Okay. If you want to support us, please do. 855 BIG-DINO. That's it. Tomorrow night, we'll get more on John chapter 13. See you tomorrow. Bye.